Thanks, Russ. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming. The Plus 500 Brumbies would like to confirm today that David Pocock will not be playing with the Brumbies after the 2019 Super Rugby season. Also, unfortunately, due to David's calf strain not progressing as hoped, and after consultation between the Brumbies and Wallabies medical staff, along with other expert advice, it has been agreed that David will not be available for Super Rugby selection in the immediate future. On behalf of the Brumbies, I would like to thank David for his service to the club throughout his time here. David made his debut with the Brumbies in 2013 and has featured in 43 games for the club. David is a world-class player who has been desperate to get back onto the field with the Brumbies this season, and his decision to retire from Super Rugby has been a very difficult one for David. Thanks very much.
Floor's open for questions, thank you.
Cody, I guess this isn't the way you kind of want to go out with Canberra.
Certainly not. It wasn't what I'd hoped for, but I think it's probably the right decision. Brings a bit of clarity for everyone. You know, Dan gets hounded about it every press conference, and you know, with the way the team's going, it's been great to see how much hard work's been going into it, and how, you know, some of the younger guys have really stepped up. So, you know, personally disappointed. I guess reflecting on my time in Canberra, very grateful for the opportunities I've had here. Canberra's certainly home. I've made so many great friends, you know, at the Brumbies and outside of rugby as well. So, yeah, certainly very grateful for the opportunity that the club's given me.
Can you talk us through how tough this season has been with these injuries, setbacks?
Yeah, it's been frustrating. Kind of took December and tried to really get my body right, and then you know, first day of the camp in January, strained my calf, and since then, I guess it's been an ongoing issue, and yeah, you're putting pressure on yourself to get back out there. You want to be contributing, and I think after talking to Dan and Tom, I think the best thing is now to take the pressure off you and actually get it right, rather than, you know, continuing to do what I was doing.
Can you talk us through that initial feeling when you realised your Super Rugby career was over? Was it like, well, when the doctors told you, like, that's it? Probably weren't expecting it, I guess.
Yeah, wasn't expecting it. It's one of those things you just got to deal with. I guess all you can do is control how you respond to it and what you make of it. So I certainly hope to be contributing off the field for the rest of the Brumbies Super Rugby campaign. You know, I think we've put ourselves in a really good position with a few games to go, and then hopefully finals. So it's really exciting for the club. A huge amount of work's gone into pre-season, into the season, and seeing the way guys are enjoying their rugby and playing for one another. You know, I'm so proud of the team and to be part of this club, despite not playing.
It's obviously taken longer than anticipated in the healing process. How confident are you to play the World Cup?
Oh, mate, you've got great support staff, medical staff, rehab staff, and you're doing everything you can. So you're obviously aiming for that, and that's driving you. And there's you know, to pull on the Wallabies jersey again is obviously my goal. It's a huge honour and something that I love doing. So I'll be doing everything I can to get myself right and get into the best shape I can.
There's no time frame currently, David, but are you thinking a rugby championship test beforehand, or is it World Cup, or what's the loose target in your mind?
I'm not sure. I'd love to play next weekend in Japan, but I think it's one of those things where rather than putting a time frame on it, they're going to put kind of things that I need to be able to do to progress. So that seems to be the best approach, and yeah, we'll do that and see how it goes.
It'd be frustrating knowing that you're not going to be part of potentially a finals campaign for the Brumbies, but is it actually bit of relief that you're not going to have to try and rush back for these next few weeks? And that you can start thinking a bit more long term?
I wouldn't say it's a relief. I think if I was realistically a chance to get back for the Brumbies, I'd be pushing to get back for the Brumbies. I don't think that's realistic. So I think this gives everyone a bit of clarity, as I've said, and it's one of those things you sometimes can't speed up the healing process. You've just got to be a bit slower with it and do everything you can, but not push it too hard.
Can you talk us through the injury itself? Is it top of the calf, bottom of the calf? What have you actually done, and how close have you been getting to full fitness before your setback?
Yeah, apparently it's all the specialists we've talked to, it's fairly rare. So something that I just really need to get right and give it a bit more time than we have. A few times I've got back up to 70-80%. I thought I was pretty close. But yeah, we'll certainly get it right, and I'll be based here in Canberra for my rehab and working with Dr. Physio Ben Sapel, who I've spent far too much time than I'd like with over the years.
You qualified for the G'day Lord. Do you think you'll play for the Wallabies after the World Cup?
I'm not sure. I honestly haven't thought beyond there. As I said, playing for Australia is such an honour. It's something that I love doing, going out there representing Australia, and then for me, so many people who've helped me along the way who may not be Australian but support the Wallabies. So it's something I look at down the track. But at this stage, the goal is to get back in that jersey and contribute leading up to the World Cup.
Dan, I think you've been here as long as Poe. Can you say in your words his contribution to this club, his impact on this club in his time?
Oh, it's been enormous. He obviously arrived initially under Jake's time and had some setbacks early on, but I think 2015, 2016 were big years for Poey. I think that obviously the qualities that he brings on field, with his ability at the breakdown. I think his toughness is something that's very understated. I've seen him play through a lot of pain and a lot of injury and done all he can to get on the park. There was a game in Bloemfontein there a few years ago where he could barely catch a ball in the Thursday training session, and played that Saturday in Bloem and got man of the match against the Cheetahs. And I think the other thing that's really stood out is just been his drive to continually get better. And that's for our young guys coming through, for your Valentinis and those sort of people. You've got to you encourage them to watch him and ask questions and learn off him whilst he's here and understand what goes into being the professional player that he is, and the world class player that he is. So it's disappointing that he can't contribute for the next sort of 6 weeks, but we'll make sure that, as he always does, that his contribution's strong off the field as well.
How did the team take it? Was morale like?
Oh, morale's high. It's we don't want to see anyone injured. There's other guys that are injured as well, but it's part and parcel of the industry that we're in, and we're in a really good place as a team at the moment. We're performing well. We've got better and better, and destiny's in our own hands, and we're really driven to kick on now. But I don't think the environment's been in a happier place since I've been head coach.
You alluded to the discussion that was coming up last week, Dan. How early in that chat with the Wallabies men started to realise he wouldn't be getting you back?
Oh, reasonably early. I think it's you just want to do what's in the best interest of David. He's the one that's everyone talks about. Am I frustrated, or the player's the one that you got to think first and foremost about? And if we could have got David back to play for the Brumbies, well, that would have been great. To finish his career here on a high. The priority now is just getting him back to full fitness, and hopefully he makes a really good contribution to the Wallabies in the World Cup, because there's no bigger stage.
You mentioned the World Cup. How important is it to have Poe playing in Japan in terms of Australia's chances of winning it?
Well, you want your best players playing, and he's certainly in that group. Leadership experience, world-class players. You need all of those things to win a World Cup. So that's getting Party back to full health and having him available in Japan will be critical to the Wallabies' chances.
Then do you have a chance to get each other involved? Who knows not going to play? Obviously, sending running
Yep.
water a fair bit this year, that sort of things.
Yep. Yes, most definitely. Something that we do here a lot is our review, and part of our preview is driven by the playing group. So I've already had thoughts and discussions there with the other coaches in terms of over the next few weeks how we can continue to use him there. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience, sees the game differently. Another set of eyes to have a look at opposition and review our previous performance. So, yeah, all of those things will be considered.
Phil, it's 43 games for the Brumbies, but he's been here a lot longer than that. So where's he going to sit for the pantheon of Brumbies greats?
Oh, well, he's a world-class player, and his record shows that. And David will be right up there with the greats from when we started back in 1996, from the Gregan, Larkhams, Roths, that sort of ilk. He'll be mentioned in those when you talk about those players too. So his contribution's been great both on and off the field, and he's always remained a very important part of the Brumbies family.
Tell us a bit about his contributions and your dealings with him off the field.
I remember giving David his first test jumper in Hong Kong. I think it was 2008. Yeah. So I've had a fair bit to do with David along the way, and seen him develop as a young person, coming into the person he is today, which has been very pleasing. And as Dan mentioned before, just the role model he is for our younger players coming through, and what they can learn off someone like David, who I'd class as one of the most professional players I've ever been involved with.
Obviously, you want the best for Australian rugby, but it's also your job to run this club. Is it frustrating in the sense that you lose your best player to a Wallabies camp?
I mean, things happen in rugby. Injuries happen. So where it's happened is no major issue for us. That we just want the players on the field, obviously, but injuries happen day to day. They can happen in the gym. They can happen out on the field. So it's all about the players' welfare. And obviously, we've tried to get David back onto the field, but it just hasn't happened. And now the next step in this phase is to get him right for the Wallabies and hopefully the World Cup preparation.
Did you have much say in the Super Rugby stuff ending, or was it part of his call?
No, that was a decision between both organisations.
You got close a couple of times, David, in terms of finals with the Brumbies. Is that knowing that you won't now win a championship with the Brumbies, just adds to the pain on top of it?
Mate, we win this year. I'm part of it. Like it's a 35-man effort. I think that's one of the things we've talked about a lot this year, is that often when the team's going well, it's the guys who aren't playing that are prepping them well. So you're still part of it. You're still contributing, and I think that's something that we've been really trying to drive amongst the group, because the reality is you've got a squad of 35 and only 23 blokes get to pull on the jersey. So everyone else is doing their bit and waiting for the opportunity. And I guess I won't get another opportunity, but that's fine. I'm happy to watch the guys and support them in any way I can.
The success of Super Rugby is giving you a platform to speak about some of the things you're passionate about off the field.
Yeah.
What happens with that work now when you be able to dedicate more time to your work off the field, your working activities, for instance?
Mate, rehab's usually busier than playing. I think at least when you're playing, you kind of get a day off a week. when you're rehabbing, it's a bit of a grind. But yeah, there's obviously things that I'm interested in outside of rugby, and I've been able to pursue some of those things over the years. So that'll always be part of trying to find balance and I don't know, I guess stoking the fire to keep you really focused and motivated when you do get into training.
I mean, known for your work ethic, obviously a lot of injuries over the years. Have you ever asked yourself if you may be training too hard?
Yeah, something I talked to Ben Sapel about, and something I've got a lot better at over the years is being smarter with training. I certainly don't think this injury has anything to do with that. But yeah, I guess it's something that every every professional athlete has to find the balance that works for them.
Is next year with Panasonic, fingers crossed you get back up on the field and right for that. Is that the first of a few seasons over there, or what's the plans for the next stage?
Well, that was locked in 2016, 17. So I guess that's just part of the deal we came to. Yeah, I mean it'd be great to get back over there, but certainly my focus is getting back for the Wallabies now, and then the rest will take care of itself really.
Australian rugby is certainly in a better position on the field this year with the 4 teams we've seen, a lot more wins against New Zealand sides, etc. How are you feeling about Wallabies' chance of winning the World Cup?
Mate, I guess there's no way around it. We're going to have to improve a lot, and last year was a tough year, but not for a lack of effort. So I think we've been building a bit of a base and working hard as our Super Rugby teams. When we come together, that's a challenge. It's a World Cup year. It's very exciting, and it's every rugby player's dream to be part of a World Cup, and every rugby player's dream to hold up that cup at the end. And if you look around the world, I can't remember a World Cup that has so many teams in really good form. I think it's going to be a really tough tournament. So that's very exciting.
Are you giving more thought towards life after rugby?
I think every rugby player thinks about it. It's the great unknown. We'll see what happens. I think if you really throw yourself into what's ahead of you, and I don't know, keep pursuing things that you're interested in, something will come up, and you can explore different avenues down the track.
Can you see you and Emma settling in Canberra once your playing days are done?
I really hope so. We love it here. We've got a house in Canberra, and certainly consider it home. The vegetable garden's in disarray this year. I haven't given it enough effort. So I'm sure after footy there'll be a bit more time for gardening, and there's plenty of other stuff to do in the world. That's for sure.
Is Canberra giving you everything you hoped it would when you moved here from Perth 6 years ago?
Oh man, I'm so grateful for the move. I loved my time at the Force. Loved living in Perth, and Canberra has been such a good time for Emma and I. We really love living here. Consider it home. It's a great community to be part of.
Given the uncertain nature of if you have played your last game, full stop, are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with where you're at and how it will finish?
Like last game ever?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd be very disappointed. And yeah, could be the case. I don't know. I'll certainly be doing everything I can for it not to be the case. But you've just got to deal with things that happen, and all you can do is control your response, how you what you make of the situation. So we'll see. Hopefully not, but we'll see, Block.
Worried at all you'll be limping around as a 50-year-old man?
I don't know. It's I'll try and sound off my mobility and stretching after footy.
Just one last one for me, Dave. The situation with Israel. Have you had a conversation with him since the judgment was handed down?
No.
And will you look to try and do that over the coming months?
Yeah, I mean it's been a really tough situation for rugby, and I think at the end of the day we have got so much more in common than the few things that might divide us, and as a sport, we want to be inclusive. We want to create a safe space for people who when they turn up to play rugby, they feel like they can be whoever they are. And I've always said that sport is at its best when it's inclusive and when it's actually challenging society to be more inclusive. I think rugby's done a great job over the years of doing that. And yeah, I mean it's kind of been dealt with now by Rugby Australia, and yeah, really sad to see him go. But I really hope we can continue with the great work that has been done is in creating that safe space.
Do you feel like the game's handled this situation well?
I mean, I'm sure looking at anything, it can always be done better, but it's such a tough situation. I don't know if it's a very hard situation to kind of come out with a winner. It's just sad. So yeah, I guess it is what it is now, and you know, we all need to move on and think about how we can play our part in creating a more, I don't know, kinder society, a more inclusive society, because we're facing some much bigger issues than that. Like, we're facing some serious issues, with climate change, with the ecological crisis that we're in, and we need people to be coming together and actually, I don't know, taking some meaningful action. So yeah, hopefully we can do that. There's a lot of great things happening. I guess it just happens that, I don't know, bad news seems to do better than all the good stuff, unfortunately.
Just thinking about what you said there, is politics in your future?
I'm not sure, mate. We'll wait and see. It's not something that I've thought a lot about. It's like a pretty hard slog. Pretty hard slog.
Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everyone.